Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us. We've got a big rain event for the West Coast. Met Service warning up to 750 millimetres and our computer modelling in agreement. So we're tracking that rainmaker, which will then move into the North Island, potentially at the end of this long weekend coming up. Waitangi Day, Waitangi Monday, around the start of next week. So let's get into it. We've got this northerly flow coming down. This is the reason why we're getting this rain on the West Coast over the next few days. Remember that tropical low we were talking about last week? Formed up here near Vanuatu, dropped southwards, and it's now moving down into the Southern Ocean. But the northerly rain coming in is only just getting started. There is a lot of rain on the way for the South Island, and then it moves into the North Island. So here you can see on the animated wind map that northerly flow. The brighter blue shows relative humidity, or put another way, where the air has got a lot of moisture in it. And so we're seeing a lot of moisture coming here onto the West Coast. That's where the big rain will be. And because the West Coast is further out to the west, and much of the South Island is as well, that's the reason you're getting this rain as it drops southwards. There's the low. The North Island, further to the east, for now, not exposed. But this wet weather out here in the Tasman is eventually, we think, going to drift right across the whole country. So most places are in for some heavy rain at some point over the next 7 days, with perhaps the exception of Southland. Southland looks as though it's in a little bit of a dry bubble away from most of this wet weather. So this is the next 3 days rainfall. What it shows here in the dark blue is off our scale. It goes off the 500 millimetre mark. Met Service are going up with 750 millimetres in the same area. So this is right at the tops of the mountains, but gives you an idea of a lot of rain falling up there. And of course, it's got to go out to sea. It's got to drain out somewhere, which means state highways, which run near the rivers, can be affected with flooding and slips, or roads washed away, bridges washed away. And up here around Nelson and Marlborough, the rainfall total is not as big, but you're still getting into the 200 millimetre mark out here, maybe higher, maybe 200 to 300 millimetres. And then you come into Nelson itself, and it's anywhere between 50 and 100 millimetres. Nelson only has to have about 20 millimetres, and you start to get some slips here and there. So very dry sort of soil that slips away quite easily. So the rain coming in with a northerly, one to keep an eye on in Marlborough, Nelson, and the whole West Coast. And then, of course, the other side, Canterbury, you'll get some spillover rain in that 50 to 100 millimetre mark. Obviously, the bigger totals will be closer to the mountains. The further you are to the sea, out around Banks Peninsula, you might only get 15 or 20 millimetres over the next few days. And the North Island looking mostly dry. So here's the rainfall forecast map for Thursday with 24 hours of rain included. We've had a few comments or complaints on YouTube about the key. We don't make this key. This is an international key. And the more detailed you get, the trickier it gets, because there's only a limited amount of colours on Earth in existence. So, in the entire universe, not just Earth. So a limited amount of colours. So what we do is we put the pale blues at the bottom and we surround it with green and yellow. So when you see blue and green next to it, that's at the lower end. That's the trick to when you quickly glance at it and you're trying to work out where the heavy rain is. The heavy stuff, which is, I'm standing in front of the key, the dark blue, that's usually surrounded by reds and purples. And that's the reason why the West Coast rainfall here stands out, because it's surrounded by that red and purple and blue right in the middle of it. And so therefore, 200 millimetres or so coming just on Thursday on top of the rain that's already falling today. Let's go to Friday. That rain slides further up the coast into the reds, so 60 to 80 millimetres or so in this area here. Dry at the south, mostly dry at the north. The pale blue just at the very bottom of the scale shows the risk of a light shower or drizzle patch maybe. Now let's go into the weekend. This rain has not finished. On Saturday it continues on the west coast. Now it's up around the Nelson area. So perhaps Friday, Saturday has the greater risk for Nelson and Marlborough for some flooding. The purple there indicates over 100 to 150 millimetres again on Saturday. So that's 3 days in a row with over 100 millimetres coming in. You can see why Met Service are talking about 700 millimetres plus potentially coming through for you. So as we go into the weekend and we go through the weekend, this is how we look on Sunday. Sunday sees a bit of a cooler change coming into the South Island. Temperatures drop on Sunday, and in fact the temperatures will drop all the way up to the lower North Island, but the rain is still stuck over the top part of the South Island and the very lower and western sides of the North Island. So plenty of wet weather coming through on Waitangi Day, and this will be coming into the Canterbury side as well now. So again, the slips and flooding risk now moves over perhaps into northern parts of Canterbury. Then we get into Monday of next week. All that wet weather that was over the South Island moves over the North Island. We've got a low up here, a storm potentially in the tropics. That's going to encourage a strong easterly wind. And you see the red line, that's the tropics. Heavy rain for Hawke's Bay. There could be over 100 millimetres, 150 millimetres for you. This is not yet locked in. We need a couple more days to lock in the North Island rain for next week. And our final map, look at that. This is quite a big change to what we've been seeing for years around the north of New Zealand. If this pans out, we've still got a few days to go, and this is a very strong high down here pushing back against it. That's why the South Island's looking dry next week. But this rain here, very heavy falls. Bit hard to see, but there's blue and purple in there. That is, on the scale, 150, maybe 200 millimetres of rain in one day coming in. And with a tropical low, maybe a storm here and another one off there, all the tropical energy pulled down, that red line is the tropics. So it's only going to get warmer and more humid for the North Island, whereas the South Island, a cooler southerly coming through starting this weekend and lingering next week. So not as hot, not as humid, and not as wet next week. But over the next few days, the South Island's got rain and flood events, and then that rain and flood event shifts into the North Island for next week. Very welcome news for a lot of farmers and growers, but it might be one of those setups where it's a little bit too much of a good thing. That is all from me. We'll keep you up to date. Our next update is coming out tomorrow. Also today, Wednesday, Climate Watch update for the month of February. If you're curious to see what else is happening beyond these rainmakers, that Climate Watch update will have all the info, and that is out today. Otherwise, I'll see you again tomorrow with our next weather update.